Hey everyone, it's been a while. 4 years! That's insane! Honestly, all I have to say is that life throws you curveballs and you do what you can with it.
But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
And back for good. So following up on my last video, I said that I was going to review a film from the 90s based on a universal classic. Well, I'm gonna deliver on that. This is my review of Stephen Sommers' remake of The Mummy. Released in the summer of 1999, The Mummy is a remake specifically of the 1932 film of the same name that starred Boris Karloff. It was a box office hit and spawned its own franchise. Sequels, an animated series, and even a spin-off prequel starring Dwayne It's About Drive, It's About Power Johnson. But even with all the updated special effects and a bigger and badder villain, does the film still hold up today? Well, that's what we're gonna find out. These are my thoughts on The Mummy. The biggest praise I must give to this film are the cast of characters. Each one of them are fun, memorable, and likable in their own regards. The actors are all great in the roles, and their chemistry is on point. In one of his breakout roles, Brendan Fraser absolutely shines as Rick O'Connell, and to this day is one of my favorite action heroes on screen. He was practically my Indiana Jones growing up. He's equally charming and isn't afraid to put his life on the line for the people he cares about, especially when it comes to Evie. Speaking of which, Evie is wonderfully portrayed by Rachel Weisz. She and Rick have such great chemistry with one another, they are honestly one of my favorite couples on film. She's strong, sassy, spunky, and is genuinely helpful to the group instead of just being your typical damsel in distress. And much like any kid growing up in the late 90s and early 2000s that saw this movie, I had a massive crush on her. Now let's be honest, can you blame me? I just died on your arms tonight. Alright, anyways, let's move on to the other characters. John Hannah is hilarious as Evie's dim-witted but lovable brother Jonathan, and is the source of comic relief for this film, but he gets his moments to shine, especially at the end when he gets the Book of Amun-Ra. Imhotep is a great villain, brought brilliantly to life by Arnold Vosloo. He has a certain menace to his performance, and you can feel his determination and conviction to bring back his long-lost love. His mummy form is excellently realized by the CGI, which honestly holds up fairly well, for the most part, in my opinion. I love the body horror approach they took with this interpretation, instead of just being another guy wrapped up in bandages. I also love his musical motif anytime he's mentioned and or seen on screen. It helps to really cement this dude as a big threat. Oded Fehr is quite solid as Ardeth Bey, a Medjay warrior who's sworn to keep Imhotep dead and buried. He's a very enigmatic character and has a mysterious appeal to him that you want to learn more about him. He has great chemistry with Rick, and Jonathan specifically, and their scenes toward the end of the film are very fun to watch. Finally, Kevin J. O'Connor is fantastic as Benny, Rick's cowardly friend turned enemy who's so scummy, yet so lovable to watch as he often gets his comeuppance. The rest of the supporting cast do a great job and each have their moments to shine, especially the Warden and Winston, their major highlights. I love the direction and cinematography. Stephen Sommers has a keen eye for locations, and they make for some of the most beautiful scenery I've ever seen in an action blockbuster. The Egyptian architecture is absolutely stunning, and as a kid, it sparked much interest in me to learn more about the culture. The story is well paced and never has any boring moments. Each scene and each line of dialogue are memorable and have purpose to them. The action is fast-paced and keeps your attention all the way through. I especially love the action sequence in the boat and the final fight with Rick and Imhotep's undead mummies. Couple these up with the intensely exciting score by Jerry Goldsmith. I especially love his motifs for not only Imhotep but also Rick and Evie's love theme. It's quite beautiful and elevates this film much like John Williams' score did for the Indiana Jones series. The humor absolutely works and helps to alleviate the tense moments. Lastly, the special effects are quite impressive. I specifically really like as Imhotep is consuming his victims, you see him slowly look human over time, kind of like a metamorphosis in a way. The sandstorm sequence is an iconic set piece and makes for the best visual in the whole film. It was so good, they even made it the poster. And the scarabs are straight up nightmare inducing. They make for some of the creepiest parts in the entire film. Also, mad props to the mummy minions Imhotep raises later in the climax. They still look awesome. Okay, I do have some negatives with this film, even if they are very little. Firstly, anck-su-namun herself doesn't have much to do in this one, and we don't really get much insight into why Imhotep loves her so much. Is it because of her body paint? I don't know. I understand she's there to serve his character, but I wish we got a bit more to her in this one. Luckily, they kind of fixed that in the sequel. Secondly, while it's funny that initially Imhotep is afraid of cats because, as they say,
cats are the guardians of the underworld. You will fear them until he is fully regenerated.
And then he will fear nothing.
It also takes away a bit of the menace he brings, and it feels like they were going a little too goofy with it. Luckily, it doesn't happen anymore after he appears fully human. The Mummy is a perfect blockbuster. Why? It balances action, horror, romance, and comedy all so well. The story is paced well and easy to follow, the characters are well cast and are very charming to watch, the action is exciting, the effects are grand and epic, the direction and cinematography is beautiful, and the music is sweeping and intense. Overall, this is one 90s classic I'd highly recommend everyone to check out. Sit back and have a blast watching. It's one of my favorite films ever made and a prime example of how to update an old classic for the next generation. I'm giving The Mummy an A+. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and please leave a like and comment down below what films you'd like for me to check out. I'm very excited for the future of Critical Lockdown, and I hope you guys will be there with me in the long run. Stay tuned, and God bless.